Hello everybody, welcome to Awesome Rusty Bucket. Subscribe to the channel if you have not already and drop a like on this video. I'm trying to hit 100k subscribers on this channel by the end of the year, so your subscription would be much appreciated. Also drop a like on this video, it only takes 1 second and makes a massive difference. As you may or may not tell, this is a different location from where I've been recording. I finally moved into my house. The audio might be a little bit wonky because this room's echoey. I have to put some sound stuff in to get it to stop being echoey, and the lighting might be different. I had to hang up a blanket in the window because I didn't have a blackout curtain like I used to. So it might be a little bit wonky, a little bit different, but it'll get worked out eventually. Also, the poster, which is just out of, or not the poster, the jersey case, which is just out of frame, will be hung up soon. But with that said, today, there's going to be a post-game reaction later today, and in fact, I might make it 2. It depends on if both games are worthy of it, but because it's the start of the season, I figured I would do multiple videos for different games across the first couple of weeks of the NBA, maybe. But with that said, today we're talking about the Phoenix Suns, and expect 3 videos today, but this is the first one. Want to talk about the Phoenix Suns because yesterday, I believe, was the rookie extension deadline. If it wasn't, it's soon, and DeAndre has not gotten a contract extension yet, and that is the topic of this video. Not just because he did not get the contract extension, but the fact that Landry Shamet did, and to a lesser extent, Mikal Bridges did. Now, Mikal Bridges, the contract that he got was a good deal for both sides. I think it was about what Mikal was worth, a little bit more if you wanted to go towards his potential, but it really just depends on how much potential you think he has. But Landry Shamet gets a rookie extension from the Suns. Landry Shamet, who, look, I made a video on Landry Shamet back before he got drafted on why he would be the steal of the draft. And he wasn't really that thus far in his career anyways, and he has been good and definitely a serviceable role player, but then come playoff time, when he's pretty much been exclusively on playoff teams, he hasn't really been able to get a lot of playing time because he is a bit of a defensive liability, and the shooting that he brings to the table is often inconsistent. So if he's not going to be a great three-point shooter, which he has the capability of being but isn't always, and he's also going to be a terrible defensive player, there are a lot of other players you'd rather have in the rotation. So that would be why Landry Shamet getting $11 million-ish a year for, it was 3 or 4 seasons, is a little bit puzzling. Not necessarily, that much of an overpay. I'd say I'd probably give Shamet like $8 million a year. So 3, 4 more later in the contract is not the biggest deal in the world. And I've said this a million times now. In general, I think NBA fans overreact to contracts and act like they are the end-all be-all of things. Like, they act like if you have a bad contract, your team is fucked. Like, if you have an astronomically bad contract, then yeah, your team's kind of fucked. But if you just have like a not great contract, it's not the end of the world. Like, I posted about Jaren Jackson Jr.'s contract the other day, because he got an extension where he gets about $26 million a year, I believe. And I also think there's some incentives if he does extra stuff to get more money, but that's the baseline salary. And I said this is a good contract because it's Jaren Jackson right now is worth like $22 million a year. Like, he's already that caliber of player. So if you add onto it the potential, then I think that salary ends up working out. But the thing is, because of his health issues, if Jaren is injured, if he has a lot of injury stuff continuing throughout his career, then $26 million of a bad contract is not the end of the world. There are teams that have $46 million bad contracts, and the salary cap is going to continue to rise, so a salary like that is really not the biggest deal in the world. And to harp on that even more, Jaren, if he didn't have injury issues, would have gotten a max contract probably, so that's a factor into it. So I think that's a good contract, unrelated to the Ayton stuff, but related to the conversation around contracts. I also saw an interesting point, and this is in relation to how much money DeAndre Ayton would be making, even though, yes, it is a max contract for DeAndre Ayton. It is a max rookie extension, which is not the same as a max contract after your rookie extension, where you can get upwards of like $40 million. And especially if you're on a super max type deal, you can get to $50 million now. But a rookie extension DeAndre Ayton with a rookie extension would be the 40th highest paid player in the league. I think we can agree that DeAndre Ayton is pretty much in like the 40s-ish players in the league. He's like lower towards the top 50 probably. He might be just outside of it depending on who you ask, but I think Ayton's probably in a tier like that at the very least. So is DeAndre Ayton being paid like the 40th best player in the world really the biggest deal? Because he's probably close to that. And you're then factoring in the fact that Ayton's going to continue to get better. I don't remember what his exact age is, but he's only been in the league for 3 seasons now, so he's definitely young. And he was drafted 1 year out of college, so he's like 21, 22, maybe 23. Young. And the other factor with the Phoenix Suns is that they just have not really utilized DeAndre Ayton to the nearest extent of his potential. I ended up making a video back in like a couple of months ago about how DeAndre Ayton was a disappointment, and it wasn't because of him really. Like the 90% of the video was like, yeah, it'd be cool if DeAndre Ayton was a little bit more aggressive, but at the same time, he's not really been given the proper opportunity to do that. So Phoenix, if they allow DeAndre Ayton to play the game that he's capable of playing, I guarantee you he's worth that contract for how contracts work in the league. And when I made a video about how the Suns were probably not going to give him this contract back when that was a thing like a week ago when I made a video on it, I said that, yeah, I don't think that max contracts should work in the way that they do, where there's like 40 players in the league who have max contracts. Because if it's the max contract, your maximum amount of salary, logically speaking, should go to the best player. Best players. There should probably be only like 10, maybe 15 players who are max contract caliber, but they don't get that salary. The Supermax kind of differentiates that a little bit more significantly, but nevertheless, max contract salary doesn't really make sense that Tobias Harris gets max contracts because that's just the way the league is. I don't think it's very logical, but at the end of the day, it's how it works, and you kind of have to operate within the system that you exist in, even if you don't particularly like it. If you try to defy it in a large extent, it will end up burning you until that system ends up changing. And in this case of the Phoenix Suns, sure, if I had to guess, DeAndre Ayton's going to be back with the Suns. I think he's going to get that extension eventually. I think really what Robert Sarver, who fucking sucks by the way, is trying to do is make DeAndre Ayton prove that he's worth that money. I think right now with how max contracts work, DeAndre Ayton, if he repeats what he did last season in the regular season, he's going to get a max contract from somebody. I promise you a team's going to offer him that. Like, maybe he's not in Phoenix next year and he's in OKC, but he's getting paid. There's no question that DeAndre Ayton is going to get paid. So I think this is kind of dumb to just delay it and then risk ruining your relationship potentially, because like, sure, DeAndre's probably still going to be with the Suns after this, but you made the definitely a probably for no good reason. That's the problem, is that you took pretty much like, yeah, DeAndre Ayton's going to be with his team for the next 4 years after this year, so 5 years. Instead, you went, he will be to he probably will be, and you have to put a little bit of a questioning tone on that probably. Like, there's like a 90% chance he's with the Suns next year, or yeah, after next season. But why make it a probably? It's just not necessary. And then if you're going to be cheap, why are you extending Landry Shamet? You don't even know if he's going to be a rotation player in the playoffs, and you're giving him $10 million, $11 million a year. Just ridiculous. It's just not, it doesn't really add up, logically speaking. Mikal Bridges' contract makes sense. You got him for what he's worth. Landry Shamet, I don't understand that. On top of the fact that they gave a first-round pick for him, again, I'm a Landry Shamet guy, but why are you dedicating $11 million in salary per year and a first-round pick to Landry Shamet? It doesn't really make a whole lot of sense. So I don't really understand what the fuck Phoenix is doing. I saw an interesting clip on Twitter with a good quote tweet. DeAndre Ayton was practicing in an Elfrid Payton practice jersey. And this is fully reading into it, and it's probably just a coincidence. Maybe it's not, and maybe he really thought to do this, but Alfred Payton sounds like, Alfred Pay Ayton. So, kind of a message, maybe. I don't know. I wouldn't read into it too much, but I thought it was funny, the potential that might have actually been a thing that he did. But yeah, not paying DeAndre in is just, it's a mistake. Like, yeah, I agree that he's not really like a max contract guy right now. He might be 2 years from now or even a year from now when he really has the opportunity. But regardless, he's not really there yet. But at the same time, this is the system in which players operate. And with how max contracts work right now, yes, Ayton is a max contract player. With how max contracts should work, no. But we can't get hung up on the semantics. And if the Phoenix Suns try and use that logic, they will continue to fuck things up. Also, this is just the thing in general. Teams overthink shit like this a lot. If you have a really talented player that you can lock up for multiple years, you really shouldn't overthink it. Like, yeah, maybe you can do a 500 IQ thing that ends up working out a little bit better in your favor, but sometimes you just make the right move and the obvious move, and it's as simple as that. And this looks like a case, well, first of all, it's just cheapness from Robert Sarver, but it also looks like it could be a case of like, we could save $5 million per year. Let's try and play this game. And it's like, or you could guarantee you have DeAndre Ayton on your roster for the next 5 years. You could do that as well, but instead you want to play fucking games, and it's pointless. So yeah, that's my thoughts on this situation. Expect a video on the Nets-Bucks game and the Lakers-Warriors game later today. But that is it. Goodbye.